you best believe I'm super excited for Granblue support. Let's get right into it. Check out Dueling Guard's deck boxes, playmats, and binders. The great quality products that are anime based. They continually have more anime options becoming available. Use the affiliated link in the description for a 5% discount on your next purchase. So going into the right line, we have Grenache. Beautiful artwork. It's what you expect. If you go second, draw a card. The Crest Giver. We get the Nightrose Crest. This is what it looks like. And for the effect, the first three skills are typically what you expect. The restriction of the Nightrose name, so you can have any Nightrose in standard. This can open up for retrains, potentially for Starlight, for example. In Premium, you could also technically write Starlight, but more than likely we'll be using the G era and the V series Nightrose anyway. It has the 5k power up for each card face up in the G zone. So again, if we want to focus on more multi-attack in both standard and premium, that just promotes the usage of it. Just like we've seen with Shiranui, for example, and other decks like Chrono Jet as well. But the last one is what we're more excited about to find out. And so when 3 or more cards were discarded from the deck at the same time by your Vanguard's ability, choose one of your cards among them, and you may put that at the bottom of the deck. So essentially, what we know right now is Nightrose's GB2 skill, you mill 3, and this will trigger auto. So then you're able to return one of those cards, which more than likely will be a trigger. This is a good chance to put an OT back in case you do mill an OT. We still have to see with the stride skills and the rest of the deck set, like if there's any Vanguard ability related with 3 or more in the sense of that. How do I feel about this? It's not the best, but it is something at that point too. You're able to recycle at least one card that was milled in the time. In Premium, we don't often rely on Nightrose's GB2 skill. You may use it more in a mill build or if you need to revive a card offensively if you do a bad bounty turn, but that's like a very niche scenario. So the benefit of this in Premium may not be as often. We got our boy Columbard, and Columbard, what he does is that when he's rode upon by a grade 3 with Nightrose, so bless 1, check the top 7, choose up to 2 normal units without Sentinel, put 1 in hand, and discard the rest. So this helps facilitate building your hand, but also setting up your drop zone as you're proceeding into your turn. If you're going second, your opponent's more than likely a grade 3 already, so you're able to just stride and actually get to benefit from the card that you discarded immediately, essentially. It also has a hollow ability, so if you want to use this on Rearguard Circle, it has that other skill that when it attacks, it gets 5k onto the end of the battle, essentially. So it's a 15k attacker, but being hollow will be probably vital depending on the skills that other units yet to be revealed rely on as well. So Nightrose, essentially everything's the same with her. The big thing to note though is that it's considered a stoicheia Vanguard. And so what do I mean by that is that if you were to play this in Premium now, you can actually put Giza in your main deck and put Zoa, which is originally the Zoo Nation's ultimate stride. And because it's part of stoicheia technically, you can ultimate stride Zoa onto Nightrose because it's a stoicheia unit now. Will Zoa be something as like busted? It's kind of tough to say now. Cards that come to mind are like Flanger that actually abuse it. That's actually still legal in Premium. But it's just like one of those like cons that you can just like, if you know your opponent doesn't have enough high of G-Guard power or maybe hand power besides Sentinels or maybe a Sanctitude or a G-Guard that can PG like, you could sneak in and win that way. But as you can see, you could already tell like there's already a couple things to play around it, right? So we got more units. We got this grade 1 Ghosty, pretty cool. We also got Nightstorm over here. It's interesting to see Nightstorm in this artwork too. So Cam the Ghosty, which is the grade 1 we just saw, it's a hollow unit as well. When this is placed on Rearguard from hand, if you have a Nightrose Crest, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 of them and discard them and shuffle your deck. And then the other skill is that during your turn, if this is hollow, this gets a passive 5k. So a couple things. Again, it's a hollow target. It's also being able to selectively mill from the top 5, which is not bad. I just wish they didn't restrict it from hand. Like, this is Granblue. You're going to revive stuff from the drop, so why not benefit from it? But I'm sure there's ways to add this card to your hand besides hard drawing into it. You can, but at that point, like, do you really want to go out of your way just so you can actually call this from hand and just check the top 5 and discard something else? So not bad. It is a grade 1 booster. It's 13k as well, so it's a nice booster. And then for Nightstorm, he is what you expect. He is the GB2 during your turn. If this unit is hollow, this gets a plus 10k continuously. Of course, he has the hollow ability. And then when he's discarded from him from paying the cost of strike, you're able to draw cards. So he's what you expect just for the hollow version of Granblue. It's interesting that we're so used to like in G him extending attacks, and now he's just a beater. But it's welcome at that point too. So real quick with standard, so you may be asking yourself like what you should pick up for sure, and then also like, well, maybe some things. For sure, I would recommend the grade 2 cyclers and also Sea Strike and Glorf if you haven't had the chance to have those. The reason for that is that we've seen with Stride deck sets, such as like Shiranui and also Luard using the grade 2 cyclers, mainly because we just don't use the energy mechanic, and at least with this first wave of support, we don't see anything with Energy Blast, right? And so you might as well use that for that card. Also, if we expect Nightrose and other decks being like multi-attack as well, having like a 5k shield discard and then draw a new card kind of deal is actually kind of appreciated. That way you don't really lose advantage and you just guard a small poke at that sense too. Sea Strike and Glorf is also in the same boat where you're able to get grade 2 or graders from your drop to your hand. So this will be our grade 2 combo pieces that we need. We could also get a copy of Nightrose or even Nightstorm and be able to essentially use that as stride fodder for the following turn, right? It's also a Soul Blast versus a Counter Blast or an Energy Blast type of deal. So that way, if this deck does not get a counter charger, it may struggle with Counter Blast. Granblue is already notorious for using Counter Blast to be able to like revive stuff, and there's like there's main phase revival and then there's battle phase revival too. So there's a couple of things to have in mind. So Sea Strike helps in that, alleviating at least with like main phase revivals while setting up your hand as well. There's some other mill cards that you can get like Bilber, Philander, and then some other cards that are those necessary though? It's really hard to tell. Honestly, we have to see the rest of the deck. A good example is this guy that, you know, he's kind of like Philander in a way, and he's also a 13k booster too, so give or take at that point too. So for standard, do I expect this to be a 4 to 5 attack or more type of deck? I think yes. As is right now, it's just 3 attacks. And if we can get something that's kind of like a Morfessa clone in a way where on attack, revive something, if it's GB2 or GB1, I'll revive a hollow unit kind of deal. And it also depends on like the strides. If it's Obadiah, like Obadiah has been more like a main phase or on place type of skill. There's no like battle phase with it, but that could change dramatically. It's really up to Bush here at that point. I feel like Obadiah will still have some kind of like milling aspect to it, because if it's going to be your first strike, you're not going to have all the combo pieces, or at least a good chunk of combo pieces that you can use immediately, which can make Granblue pretty slow or pretty lackluster, right, for that stride turn. So it'll be interesting how they come about that as well. And then of course the Phantasm Retrain, I can see that extending attacks because that's what it already does in its original form. So if you want to consider cards like maybe Inland Pulse and also Prize Trident or even Clipping Dragon that, you know, count the number of battles, but you get some type of benefit where you get soul, draw, or even just like counter charging, those are resourceful cards that you can add to the deck, which we might need to add, but it just depends again what else we get. For premium, we can use the Crest, and as of right now, it's not like a strong indicator where like, yes, Crest is the way to go. It's more like, okay, here's another option, let's explore it, and then kind of like see what we can refine from it at that point. The very annoying downside about this Crest is that it forces you with Nightrose. Thank God that it lets you with any Nightrose. We already play 4 Nightrose, 3G, and 1V in premium, and so you could add more Starlights to have more Nightrose counts, but you cannot ride Beatrice and you cannot ride Skull Dragon, and those come up in niche scenarios too. And especially with Beatrice, if you're going sack, and especially if you go into Obadiah immediately, this conflicts with that, and it may play a little bit differently. The deck may have to change up. It honestly will have to change up anyway to make this even consistent, such as like Riveting Franche to be able to get your Crest Givers, and you got to make room for the Crest Givers too. So there's a good amount of cards in the main deck that would help to support the Crest, and then which direction we want to take this is still up for debate and if it's worth it at that point. But I still encourage you to try it out for yourself. Super excited for this. And then also, like, if you want to play your original copies, you can, your SPs or different alternate arts of Nightrose. There's multiple options too, so feel free to do so. I'll have to figure out what I end up playing, maybe one of everything or something type of deal, who knows. So let me know in the comments below, are you excited for Granblue? Are you also hoping to see attack extenders or maybe some type of cards that you think that would help the deck a lot, whether it be in standard or premium? Just let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Until the next one, amigos. Bye!